Morning, Jenny. Good morning, Priscilla. Good morning, everybody. Morning. Morning, everybody. How are you? How did the scrunchy hair towels work? They worked great. Yeah, they worked great. I liked them. I slept okay. She slept great. How about you guys? She slept 9 hours straight, you guys. If I didn't have to wake up with pumping, I would have been living the life. Morning, Isabella. Morning, Amanda. Morning, everybody. Yeah, literally, I would have been living high on the hog if this little girl didn't even come in a very curly hair. I love the idea of them. Yeah, I think I left them in too long, if I'm being honest. But other than that, good. I know, 9 hours. She's 9 hours. She's been working her way up slowly throughout her life. And I know there's going to be a sleep regression. Like everyone says, 4 months there's a sleep regression, etc., and so on. So I know that that's going to happen. Hey, Brittany. And I'm prepared for it, and I'm not going to be upset or whatever. But like, crazy, right? I do think I'll mind the regression less than some people, because like I'm already waking up to pump anyway, so like if she wakes up, it's less work for me. But right now she's sleeping a lot. 9 hours. Crazy girl. Yeah. And yes, she does have 2 legs. Since that has been asked when this covers this, sometimes people are like, where's your other leg? It's right here. 2 legs. Nice little C curve. Good deep seat. I always do that because I'm afraid people are going to come in and tell me that I'm wearing this incorrectly, but I know I'm not. I did the research and I've been practicing. This is correct. She's supposed to be like this. Hey, Becca. Why is this uneven, do we think? We're just gonna roll with it. Morning, Ray. I don't know if I would say I'm a pro, but I'm definitely getting pretty good at it. And Ray is a pro, so she could look at this and tell me if there was anything wrong, but I don't think there is. I think Ray would tell me gently if I was doing anything that would hurt my baby. She would message me in privately and she'd be like, hey, I saw you on book club this morning and her seat wasn't deep enough. Yeah, I definitely know what it feels wrong, for sure. I think Ray would correct me, though. I think Renee and Ray and even Roxy and all the other people who have a lot of experience in baby wearing would tell me if I was doing it wrong, but I don't think I am. I think the ring sling is the one thing I'm really, really good at, which is because we use it every day, huh? Yeah, we use it every day. Alright. They would tell me gently and lovingly because they want to protect the baby. Yeah, exactly. I think in this one she's good. I'm still learning with some of the others. I think I'm finally like really, really good at the long wrap. Like I think I'm pretty banging at the long wrap now. I'm like medium at the short wrap, and I think I'm okay at the carrier. Yes, her knees are definitely up. She's good. Twist yourself. Yes, exactly, gentle rinse. Yeah, you know, the funny thing about those wraps is like it felt kind of intuitive to me, like I was just supposed to have them all along. Is that weird, right? Like I know they were like the most lovely gift from you, but it was almost like they were meant to come to us. Does that feel like a little like woo-woo, like a little bit like too crunchy granola? But like it was like they were meant to be passed on to us, and then I'll find another mom that they're meant to go to next. I don't know, it felt good. Have you seen the hip seat thing? I have seen the hip seat thing. So here's the thing. When I first saw, I finished Songbirds and said, oh, please, Amanda, we will get into that. Trust me. We all hate snow. the person, not the weather. I actually like weather, snow. So the thing about the hip seat is that I used to see them around all the time and I was like, man, that looks so cool. But I've been reading that there's issues with it unless the kid is, I think, at least 2 or 3 years old, because I think like it doesn't allow for any kind of curvature of their back and it puts too much pressure on their hips and spine while they're still developing. I could be wrong. I am no expert, but that's what I've been reading, which is the only reason that I don't want to get one of those anytime soon, because I don't want to put any issues on her development. But they do look extremely convenient. Yeah, especially for older kids. Well, the reason that I say that is because a lot of people in the groups that I've been seeing, yeah, older kids for sure, no question there. I think once they're 2 or 3, it's like, psh, go for it. But like I've seen some people trying to use them with like kids under the age of 6 months. Yeah, you can't use it if they have dysplasia, for sure not. I can't have children, but if I could, I would definitely use a wrap like that. It is extremely comfortable, Jamie. It's extremely comfortable. And if you have any nieces or nephews or whatever, you can use it with them, because not this wrap, but my sister used to put her son in a wrap on me when she needed a break, but she used the stretchy wrap, which is okay when they're really little, but I feel like he got too big for it too early and he always felt like he was gonna fall out of it to me. But this is very secure, and she's the size he was at that time, and she's not going anywhere, you guys. I could walk around like this for hours, and I do. I work like this, I pack slime like this, I make your videos for Roll for Slimes like this. We just hang out like this while she's napping for literally hours at a time. Does it really, Roxy? I didn't know that, but that's great to know. I did not know. I will say for work, like this is great for book club and things like that. And like sometimes I wear this like if we go out to eat or if we're just walking around the neighborhood. But I know, right? An adult version would be amazing. But I actually prefer the wraps that Ray gave me for work. And the reason is they're equal on each arm. And so I feel like I have equal, she would let me know if she wasn't comfortable. That's right. If you dive deeper into it, you'll find the different types of weave after different levels. Yes, exactly. And so I feel like what Ray is saying there, I get more support from specifically the gray and blue one that Ray gave us, which she actually intended to be for Secret Husband, and I haven't practiced putting it on him yet because he's been working the times when he would normally use that. But the reason I use that one for work is because it gives equal support on my arms, and it, like this one is good for just like hanging out, but I don't have full use of this arm because of the shoulder sling, which again, fine for this scenario, but like when I'm making slime, it's a little bit more difficult. And so I put on the other one and it's right here and it's all equal and it gives you back support because it goes crosswise around your back. And I love that about it. And then I also like doing that little twisty thing here because it makes a little pillow for her neck and I don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, what if I have slime in my hands and her head starts to like right now, if I lean forward, I have to hold her for safety. But when I make those little candy cane wraps right here, it does that for me. So if I'm making slime, I'm less concerned. Obviously, if it came down to it and I thought she was in danger, I would drop the slime and grab her head. But like, you know, that's my soapbox about the different wraps. Welcome to my TED Talk about wraps. Hi, Christina, you missed my TED Talk about wraps. A volunteer's tribute, I have 100% wrapped. I saw Ray also wrapped her like 7-year-old. Is she 7 or is she 8 now? Morning, Liz. How old is she now? I cannot keep track of all the changing ages. 7. Okay, so she's still 7. She hasn't turned 8. When's her birthday? Are baby carriers that have clip-on buckles at Walmart bad for their development? That is a great question that I do not know. I don't know anything about the Walmart carriers, but not all clip-on carriers are bad. Like, for example, my husband gave me a Hope and Plum one for Mother's Day, and it is very, very highly rated in safety testing and stuff like that. And the woman who owns that business, you guys, oh, that's right, she's a December baby like me. So, oh, you put your 15-year-old in it. Oh, no, she's December 15th. Yeah, no, sorry. You put her in it though, right? You put Caddy in it. Oh, you're totally fine. Don't even worry, Isabella. You don't like sour things? That's good to know. So what I was going to say was the Hope and Plum the woman who, one of the co-founders of Hope and Plum, like, you guys, I am so obsessed with her. She's such an advocate and so amazing. Like, I have turned into a total fangirl. I'm really into her. Thank you. I tried putting like I'm tried putting these like little things, because, you know, I don't have my guy here to dye my hair, so I got these little fake hair pieces and like braided them in. They're really not great and it's not perfect, but it makes my hair look a little more exciting and makes me feel a little more like me. I have 2 more colors that I'm going to try to fit in somehow, but they don't go in easily, so I don't know. You do love sour foods. Oh, it would make you sick. Oh, that's different. Okay, that's good to know. Never would have known. At least yeah, they're tied in with little hair ties or whatever. Anyway, so sorry. I'm sorry that my braid touched your face. I apologize. That was really rude of mommy. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's the whole shebang for now. Oh, you should see if they'll send you one other. Oh my gosh, I don't know if they would, because they sell so well. You know what I mean? Like, why would they need to send me anything? But like, I will tag them from here to doomsday and everything, because I am obsessed with their stuff. She was very offended. You saw that, right, Jamie? Hey Beth, how are you? Oh my God, there were like 10 people around my desk talking so loud. Tell them it's book club and that they should shut their mouths. You're such an angel for being able to put those. Oh yeah, not a problem. No, don't even worry about it, Isabella. I'm gonna try to find them. We're talking about Hope and Plum, the brand that makes those baby carriers, the one that I got for Mother's Day. It's so cool, you guys. Like, cause like, okay, I love putting her in wraps, but sometimes you're like, if you're gonna go out somewhere, doing like a full wrap is a little bit time consuming, you know what I mean? Or like, you need the baby to just be in something quickly. And so like he got me that specifically for like Disneyland, going to the aquarium, going to the zoo, you know, things like that. That is different than, because like with the wrap, if she needs to get out to feed, then I have to put it all back together to put her back in, which at home, no big deal, but when you're out and about, not as convenient. So yeah, I love them. They are great. Different carriers for different situations, you know what I mean? And I think that's great. I think that's super great. Yeah, they don't have respect for book club. Okay, let's get into it. I'm about to try a new pasta. Ooh, we love a new pasta. Can you tell me, what do you mean? Do you mean a new shape or a new flavor? Both are good. Okay, so here's where we are. We are more than halfway done with this book, Vegetarian, but chorizo and sun-dried tomatoes. Oh, very nice. Did I say tomatoes instead of tomatoes? Tomatoes. Tomatoes. I like it. I'm not against tomatoes. Okay, flavor and shape. Oh, what shape? Tomatoes. Yeah, sure, why not? All right, so for everyone keeping track with us, delicious tomatoes. We are on chapter 16, page 218. Twirly macaroni mix. Ooh, we love to see it. Yes, you're back in time. We haven't started yet. We are starting, no, you don't have to worry about that, Isabella. We're starting chapter 16, page 218. Hopefully we'll get through 2 chapters today, but I do have a Patreon meeting at 10, so let's see how it goes. All right. Hamish grips my wrist as if anticipating my next move, but I'm as speechless as the Capitol's torturers have rendered Darius. Hamish once told me that they did something to Avox's tongue so they could never talk again. In my head, I can hear Darius's voice, playful and bright, ringing across the hob to tease me, not as my fellow victors make fun of me now, but because we genuinely liked each other. If Gale could see him now. I know any move I would make towards Darius, any act of recognition, would only result in punishment for him, so we just stare into each other's eyes, Darius, now a mute slave, and me headed to my death. What would we say anyway? That we're sorry for each other's lot? That we ache for each other's pain? That we're glad that we had the chance to know each other? No, Darius shouldn't be glad that he knew me. If I had been there to stop Thread, he wouldn't have had to step forward to save Gale, and he wouldn't be an Avox, and more specifically, he wouldn't be my Avox, because President Snow has so obviously placed him here for my benefit. 7 out of 10 is good. Oh, bye, Becca. I'll talk to you later. I twist my wrist from Hamish's grasp and head down to my old bedroom, locking the door behind me.
I sit on the side of my bed, elbows on my knees, forehead on my fists, and watch my glowing suit in the darkness, imagining that I'm in my old home in District 12, huddled beside the fire. It slowly fades back to black as the power pack dies out. When Effie eventually knocks on the door to summon me to dinner, I get up and I take off my suit and I fold it neatly and I set it on the table with my crown. In the bathroom, I wash the dark streaks of makeup from my face. I dress in a simple shirt and pants, and I go down the hall to the dining room. I'm not aware of much at dinner except that Darius and the red-headed Avox girl are our servers. Effie, Hamish, Cinna, Portia, and Peta are all there, talking about the opening ceremonies, I suppose. But the only time that I really feel present is when I purposely knock a dish of peas to the floor, and before anyone can stop me, I crouch down to clean them up. Darius is right by me when I sent the dish over, and we two are briefly side by side, obscured from view as we scoop up the peas. Just for one moment, our hands meet, and I can feel his skin rough under the buttery sauce from the dish. In the tight, desperate clench of our fingers are all the words we will never be able to say to one another. Then Effie's clucking at me from behind. "That isn't your job, Katniss!" And he lets go. When we go in to watch the recap of the opening ceremonies, I wedge myself in between Cinna and Hamish on the couch because I don't want to be next to Peta. This awfulness with Darius belongs to me and Gale and, well, maybe even Hamish, but not to Peta. You must have known Darius just to nod and say hello to, but Peta wasn't a hob the way the rest of us were. Besides, I'm still angry with him for laughing at me along with the other victors, and the last thing that I want is his sympathy and comfort. I haven't changed my mind about saving him in the arena, but I don't owe him any more than that. As I watch the procession to City Circle, I think how it's bad enough that they dress us all up in costumes and parade us through the streets in chariots on a regular year. Kids in costumes are silly, but aging victors, it turns out, are just pitiful. A few who are on the younger side, like Joanna and Finnick, whose bodies haven't fallen into disrepair, or like Cedar and Brutus, can still manage to look like they have a little dignity. But the majority, who are in the clutches of drink or morphling or illness, look grotesque in their costumes, depicting cows and trees and loaves of bread. Last year we chatted away about each contestant, but tonight there's the occasional comment. Small wonder the crowd goes wild when Peta and I appear, looking so young and strong and beautiful in our brilliant costumes, the very image of what tributes should be. And as soon as it's over, I stand up and I thank Cinna and Portia for their amazing work and I head off to bed. Effie calls a reminder to me to meet early for breakfast to work out our training strategy, but even her voice sounds hollow. Poor Effie. She finally had a decent year in the games with Peta and me, and now it's all broken down to the mess that even she can't put a positive spin on. In capital terms, I'm guessing this counts as a true tragedy. Soon after I go to bed, there's a quiet knock on my door, but I ignore it. I don't want Peta tonight, especially not with Darius around. It's almost as bad as if Gale were here. Gale. How am I supposed to let him go with Darius haunting the hallways? Tongues figure prominently in my nightmares. First, I watch frozen and helpless while gloved hands carry out the bloody dissection in Darius's mouth. And then I'm at a party where everyone wears masks and someone flicks a wet tongue, and I suppose it's Finnick stalking me. But when he catches me and pulls off his mask, no, it's President Snow, and his puffy lips are dripping with bloody saliva. And finally, I'm back in the arena. My own tongue is dry as sandpaper while I reach for a pool of water that recedes every time I'm about to touch it. When I wake, I stumble down to the bathroom and gulp water from the faucet until I can hold no more. I strip off my sweaty clothes and fall back into bed, naked, and somehow I find sleep again. I delay going down to breakfast as long as possible the next morning because really I don't want to discuss our training strategy. What's there to discuss? Every victor already knows what everyone else can do, or used to be able to do anyway. So Peta and I will continue to act like we're in love, and that's that. Somehow, I'm just not up to talking about it, especially with Darius standing mutely by. I take a long shower, dress slowly in the outfit that Cinna has left for training, and I order food from the menu in my room by speaking into a mouthpiece. And in a minute, sausage, eggs, potato, bread, juice, and hot chocolate appear. I eat my fill, trying to drag out the minutes until 10 o'clock when we have to go down to the training center. And by 9:30, Hamish is pounding on my door, obviously fed up with me, and orders me down to the dining room now. Still, I brush my teeth before meandering down the hall, effectively killing another 5 minutes. The dining room's empty except for Peta and Hamish, whose face is flushed and with drink and anger. On his wrist, he wears a solid gold bangle with the pattern of flames. This must be his concession to Effie as a matching token plan that he twists unhappily. It's a very handsome bangle, really, and the movement makes it seem like something confining, like a shackle, rather than a piece of jewelry. You're late, he snarls at me. Sorry, I slept in after the mutilated tongue nightmares that kept me up half the night. I meant to sound hostile, but my voice catches at the end of the sentence. Hamish gives me a scowl and then relents. All right, never mind. Today in training, you've got 2 jobs. 1, stay in love. Obviously, I say. And 2, make some friends, says Hamish. No, I say. I don't trust any of them, and I can't stand them, and I'd rather operate with just the 2 of us. That's what I said at first, Peta begins. But it won't be enough, Hamish insists. You're gonna need more allies this time around. Why? I ask. Because you're at a distinct disadvantage. Your competitors have known each other for years, so who do you think they're gonna target first? He says. Us, and nothing we're gonna do is going to override any old friendship, I say. So why bother? Because you can fight. You're popular with the crowd, but that could still make you desirable allies. But only if you let the others know that you're willing to team up with them, says Hamish. You mean you want us to hide in the career pack this year? I ask, unable to cover my distaste. Traditionally, the tributes from District 1, 2, and 4 join forces, possibly taking in a few other exceptional fighters and hunt down the weaker competitors. That's been our strategy, hasn't it? To train up like careers? Counters Hamish. And who makes up the career pack generally is agreed upon before the games begin. Peta barely got in with them last year. I think of the loathing I felt when I discovered that Peta had joined with the careers in the last games. So we're going to try to get Finnick and Brutus? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, not necessarily. Everyone here's a victor. You make your own pack if you'd rather. Choose who you'd like. I suggest Chafe and Cedar, although Finnick's not to be ignored, says Hamish. Find someone to team up with who might be of some use to you. Remember, you're not in a ring full of trembling children anymore. These are people who are experienced killers, no matter what shape they appear to be in. All right, maybe he's right. Only who could I trust? Cedar? Maybe. But do I really want to make a pact with her only to possibly have to kill her later? No. Still, I made a pact with Rue under the same circumstances. I tell Hamish that I'll try, even though I think it's a pretty bad idea, the whole thing. Effie shows up a little bit early to take us down because last year, even though we were on time, we were the last 2 tributes to show up. But Hamish tells her that he doesn't want her taking us down to the gym. None of the other victors will be showing up with a babysitter, and as the youngest, it's even more important that we look self-reliant. So she has to satisfy herself with taking us to the elevator, fussing over our hair, and pushing the button for us. It's such a short ride that there's no real time for conversation, but when Peta takes my hand, I don't pull it away. I may have ignored him last night in private, but in training we have to appear as an inseparable team. Effie needn't have worried about us being the last to arrive. Only Brutus and the woman from District 2 and Obaria are present. And Obaria looks to be about 30 years old, and all I can remember about her is that her hand-to-hand combat skills and all I can remember about her is that in hand-to-hand combat, she killed one tribute by ripping open his throat with her teeth. She became so famous for this act that after she was victor, she had her teeth cosmetically altered so each one ends in a sharp point like a fang and is inlaid with gold. She has no shortage of admirers in the capital. Okay. I guess that's fine. By 10 o'clock, only half of the tributes have shown up. Adela, the woman who runs training, begins her spiel right on time. Unfazed by the poor attendance, maybe she expected that, I'm sort of relieved, because it means that there are a dozen people that I don't have to pretend to be friends with. Adela runs through a list of stations, which include both combat and survival skills, and then she releases us to train. I tell Peta that we would do best to split up, thus covering more territory, and he goes off to chuck spears with Brutus and Chafe, and I head over to the knot-tying station. Hardly anyone ever bothers to visit it. I like the trainer, and he remembers me fondly, maybe because I spent this time with him last year. He's pleased when I show him that I can still set traps that leave an enemy dangling by a leg from a tree. Clearly, he took note of my snares in the arena last year, and he now sees me as an advanced pupil. That would literally be the worst way to go because you wouldn't die quickly. Yeah. Ooh, yuck. No, thank you. So I ask him to review every kind of knot that might come in handy and a few that I'll probably never use. I'll be content to spend the morning alone with him, but after about an hour and a half, someone puts an arm around me from behind. His fingers easily finish a complicated knot that I've been sweating over. Of course, it's Finnick, who seems to have spent his childhood doing nothing but wielding tridents and manipulating ropes into fancy knots for nets, I guess. I watch for a minute while he picks up the length of rope and makes a noose, and then he pretends to hang himself for my amusement. Rolling my eyes, I head over to another vacant station where tributes learn to build fires. I already make an excellent fire, but I'm pretty dependent on matches for starting them, so the trainer has me work with flint, steel, and some charred cloth. This is much harder than it looks, and even working as intently as I can, it takes me about an hour to get the fire going, and I look up with a triumphant smile only to find that I have company. The 2 tributes from District 3 are beside me, struggling to start a decent fire with matches. I think about leaving, but I really want to try to use the flint again, and if I have to report back to Hamish that I tried to make friends, these 2 might be a bearable choice. Both are small in stature, with ashen skin and black hair. The woman, Wyrus, is probably around my mother's age and speaks in a quiet, intelligent voice, but right away I notice that she has a habit of dropping off her words mid-sentence, as if she's forgotten that you're right there. Hey, Freya. BT, the man, is older and somewhat fidgety. He wears glasses but spends a lot of time looking under them. They're a little strange, but I'm pretty sure that neither of them is going to try to make me uncomfortable by stripping naked. They're from District 3, and maybe they can even confirm my suspicions about an uprising there. I glance around the training center. PETA's at the center of a ribald circle of knife throwers, and the morphlings from District 6 are in camouflage station, painting each other's faces with bright pink swirls. The male tribute from District 5 is vomiting wine on the sword fighting station. Why, yucky. Finnick and the old woman from his district are using the archery station, and Joanna Mason is naked again, oiling her skin down for a wrestling lesson. I decide to stay put. Wyrus and BT make decent company. They seem friendly enough, but they don't pry, sorry. We talk about our talents, and they tell me that they've both invented things, which makes my supposed interest in fashion seem weak. Wyrus brings up some sort of stitching device that she's working on. It senses the density of the fabric and selects the strength, she says, and then she becomes absorbed in a bit of dry straw before she can go on. The strength of the thread, BT finishes explaining, automatically it rules out any human error. And then he talks about his recent success creating a musical chip that's tiny enough to be concealed in a flake of glitter but can hold hours of song. I remember Octavia talking about this during the wedding shoot, and I see a possible chance to allude to the uprising. Oh, yeah, my prep team was all upset a few months ago about this, I think, because they couldn't get a hold of that, I say casually. I guess a lot of the orders from District 3 were getting backed up? BT examines me under his glasses. Yes. Did you have any similar backups in coal production this year? He asks. No, well, we lost a couple of weeks when they brought in a new head peacekeeper and his crew, but nothing major, I say. To production, I mean. 2 weeks sitting around your house doing nothing just means 2 weeks of being hungry for most people. I think they understand what I'm trying to say, that we've had no uprising. Oh, that's a shame, says Wyrus in a slightly disappointed voice. I found your district very... Her voice trails off, distracted by something in her head. Interesting, fills in BT. We both did. I feel bad knowing that their district must have suffered much worse than ours. I feel like I have to defend my people. Well, there aren't that many of us in District 12, I say. Not that you know it nowadays by the size of the peacekeeping force, but I guess we're interesting enough. And as we move over to the shelter station, Wyrus stops and gazes at the stands where the game makers are roaming around eating, drinking, and sometimes taking notice of us. Look, she says, giving her head a slight nod in their direction, and I look up and I see Plutarch Heavensby in the magnificent purple robe with fur-trimmed collar that designates him as head game maker. He's eating a turkey leg. I don't see why this merits any comment, but I say, yes, he's been promoted to head game maker this year. No, there, by the corner of the table. You can just, says Wyrus, and BT squints under his glasses. Just make it out, he continues, and I stare in that direction, perplexed. But then I see it. A patch of space about 6 inches squared at the corner of the table seems to almost be vibrating. It's as if the air is rippling in tiny visible waves, distorting the sharp edges of the wood. A goblet of wine seems to have been set there. It's a force field. They've set one up between the game makers and us. I wonder what brought that on. BT says. Me, probably, I confess. Last year I shot an arrow at them during my private training session. BT and Wyrus look at me curiously. I was provoked. So, do all the force fields have spots like that? Chink, says Wyrus vaguely. In the armor, as it were, BT finishes. Ideally, it might be visible. Ideally, it would be invisible, wouldn't it? I want to ask them more about this, but lunch is announced, and I look for Peta, and he's hanging out with a group of about 10 other victors, so I decide to just eat with District 3. Maybe I can get Cedar to join us. When we make our way to the dining area, I see some of Peta's gang have other ideas. They're dragging all of the smaller tables in to form one large one, so we all have to eat together. Now I don't know what to do. Even at school, I used to avoid eating at a crowded table. Frankly, I would probably have sat alone if Mage hadn't had a habit of joining me. I guess I'd have eaten with Gale, except being 2 grades apart, our lunches never fell at the same time. No, she's been asleep since before book club started, Liz, so you are good to go. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I take a tray and start making my way around the food-laden carts that ring in the room. Peta catches up with me at the stew. Hey, how's it going? Good, fine. I like the District 3 victors, I say. Wyrus and Beatty? Really? He asks. They're something of a joke to the others. Why does that not surprise me? I say, and I think of how Peta was always surrounded at school by a crowd of friends. It's amazing, really, that he ever even took any notice to me, except to think that I was odd. Joanna nicknamed them Nuts and Volts, he says. I think she's nuts and he's volts. And I'm stupid for thinking that they might be useful because of something that Joanna Mason said while she was oiling up her breasts for wrestling, I retort. Actually, I think the nicknames have been around for years, and I didn't mean that as an insult. I'm just sharing the information, he says. Well, Wyrus and Beatty are smart. They invent things. They could tell by sight that there was a force field being put up between us and the game makers, and if we have to have allies, I want them. I toss the ladle back into the pot of stew, splattering us both with the gravy. What are you so angry about? Peta asks, wiping the gravy from his shirt. Because I teased you about something in the elevator? Sorry. Because I teased you on the elevator? I'm sorry, I just thought you'd laugh about it. Forget it, I say with a shake of my head. It's a lot of things. Darius, he says. Darius, the games, Hamish making us team up with others, I say. It can just be you and me, you know, he says. I know, but maybe Hamish is right, I say. Don't tell him that I said so, but usually he is, at least where the games are concerned. Well, you can have final say about our allies, but right now I'm leaning towards Chafe and Cedar, says Peta. I'm okay with Cedar, not Chafe, I say. Not yet, anyway. Come on, and let's eat with him. I promise I won't let him kiss you again, says Peta. Chafe doesn't seem as bad at lunch. He's sober, and while he does talk too loud and makes bad jokes a lot, most of them are at his own expense. I can see why he would be good for Hamish, whose thoughts run so darkly, but I'm still not sure I'm ready to team up with him. I try hard to be more sociable, not just with Chafe, but with the large group. After lunch, sorry guys, there's a frog in my throat. After lunch, I do the edible insect station with District 8 tributes, Cecilia, who's got 3 kids at home, and Woof, who really is an old guy who's hard of hearing and doesn't seem to know what's going on since he keeps trying to stuff poisonous bugs in his mouth. I wish I could mention meeting Twill and Bonnie in the woods, but I can't figure out how to bring it up. Cashmere and Gloss, the sister and brother from District 1, invite me over and we make hammocks for a while. They're polite but cool, and I spend the whole time thinking about how I killed both of the tributes from their districts, Glimmer and Marvel, last year, and that they probably knew them, and they might even have been their mentors. Both my hammock and my attempt at connect with them are mediocre at best. I join Enobaria at the sword training station and exchange a few comments, but it's clear that neither of us wants to team up. Finnick appears again when I'm picking up fishing tips, mostly just to introduce Mags, the elderly woman who's also from District 4. Between her district accent and her garbled speech, Possibly she's had a stroke or something. I can't really make out more than 1 in 4 words, but I swear that she can make a decent fishing hook out of anything. A thorn, a wishbone, an earring, and after a while, I tune out the trainer and simply try to copy whatever Mags does. When I make a pretty good hook out of a bent nail and fasten it to some strands of my hair, she gives me a toothless smile and an unintelligible comment that I think might be praise. Suddenly, I remember how she volunteered to replace the young and hysterical woman from her district. It couldn't be because she thought she had any chance of winning. She did it just to save that girl. And just like I volunteered to save Prim last year, I decided I want her on my team. Great, now I have to go back and tell Hamish that I want an 80-year-old and nuts and bolts for my allies. He'll love that. So I give up trying to make friends, and I go over to the archery range for some sanity. It's wonderful there, getting to try out all the different bows and arrows. The trainer, Tax, seeing that standing targets offer no challenge for me, begins to set these silly little fake birds high into the air for me to hit. And at first it seems stupid, but it turns out to be kind of fun. Much more like hunting moving creatures, and since I'm hitting everything that he throws up, he starts to increase the number of birds that he sends airborne, and I forget the rest of the gym and the victors and how miserable I am, and I love myself in the shooting. And then I manage to take down 5 birds in 1 round, and I realize it's so quiet that I can hear each one hit the floor, and I turn, and I see the majority of the victors have stopped to watch me. Their faces show everything from envy to hatred to admiration. After training, Peeta and I hang out, waiting for Hamish and Effie to show up for dinner, and when we're called to eat, Hamish pounces on me immediately. So at least half the victors have instructed their mentors to request you as an ally. I know that that cannot be from your sunny disposition. They saw her shoot, says Peeta with a smile. Actually, I saw her shoot for real for the first time, and I'm about to put in a formal request myself, he says. You're that good, huh? Hamish asks me. So good that Brutus wants you? I shrug. I don't want Brutus. I want Mags, and I want all of District 3. Of course you do, Hamish sighs, and he orders a bottle of wine. I'll tell everybody that you're still making up your mind. After my shooting exhibition, I get teased some, but I no longer feel like I'm being mocked. In fact, I feel as if somehow I've been initiated into the victor's circle. During the next 2 days, I spend time with almost everybody headed for the arena, even the Morphlings, who with Peeta's help, paint me into a field of yellow flowers. Even Finnick, who gives me an hour of trident lessons in exchange for an hour of archery lessons. And the more I come to know these people, the worse it all is, because on the whole, I don't hate them. Some of them I like, and a lot of them are so damaged that it's my natural instinct to protect them, but all of them must die if I can save Peeta. The final day of training ends with our private sessions. We each get 15 minutes before the game makers to amaze them with our skills, but I don't know what any of us might have to show them. There's a lot of kidding about it at lunch, what we might do, sing, dance, strip, tell jokes. Mags, who I can understand a little better now, decides that she's just going to take a nap. I don't know what I'm going to do. Shoot some more arrows, I guess. Hamish said to surprise them if we could, but I'm fresh out of ideas. As the girl from District 12, I'm scheduled to go last. The dining room gets quieter and quieter as the tributes file out to go to perform. It's easier to keep up the irreverent, invincible manner that we've all adopted when there are more of us, but as the people disappear through the door, all I can think is that I have a matter of days left to live. Peeta and I are finally left alone, and he reaches across the table to take my hands. We decided what to do for the game makers yet? I shake my head. I can't really use them for target practice again this year with the force field up and all. Maybe I can make some fish hooks? I don't know. What about you? Not a clue. I keep wishing that I could bake a cake or something like that, he says. Maybe you should do some more camouflage, I suggest. If the Morphlings have left me anything to work with, he says wryly, they've been glued to that station since training started. We sit in silence for a while, and then I blurt out the thing that's on both of our minds. How are we going to kill these people, Peeta? I don't know. He leans his forehead down to our entwined hands. I don't want them as allies. Why did Hamish want us to get to know them, I say. It'll make it so much harder than last time, except for like Rue, maybe. But I guess I never really could have killed her anyway. She was just too much like Prim. Peeta looks up at me with his brow creased in thought. Her death was the most despicable, wasn't it? None of them were very pretty, I say, thinking of Glimmer and Cato's ends. Then they call Peeta, so I wait by myself, 15 minutes pass, and then a half an hour. It's close to 45 minutes before I'm even called. And when I go in, I smell the sharp odor of cleaner and notice that one of the mats has been dragged to the corner of the room, and the mood is very different from last year's when the game makers were half drunk and distractedly picking at the tidbits from the banquet table. They whisper among themselves now, looking somewhat annoyed. What did PETA do? Something to upset them? I feel a pang of worry. That isn't good. I don't want PETA singling himself as a target for the game maker's anger. That's part of my job, to draw the fire away from PETA. But how did he upset them? Because I'd love to go in and just do more of that, to break through the smug veneer of those who use their brains to find amusing ways to kill us, to make them realize that while we are vulnerable to the Capitol's cruelties, so are they. Do you have any idea how much I hate you? I think you have given your talents to the games. I try to catch Plutarch Heavensby's eye, but he seems to be intentionally ignoring me as he has the entire training period. I remember how he sought me out for a dance, how pleased he was to show me the Mockingjay on his watch. His friendly manner has no place here, though. How could it, when I'm a mere tribute and he's the head game maker, so powerful, so removed, so safe? Suddenly, I know what I'm going to do, something that will blow anything PETA did right out of the water. I walk over to the knot tying station and I get a length of rope and I start to manipulate it. It's hard because I've never made this actual knot myself, only watched Finnick's clever fingers move so fast. And after about 10 minutes, I've come up with a respectable noose, and I drag one of the target dummies into the middle of the room using some chinning bars, hanging it to dangle by the neck. Tying its hands behind its back would be a nice touch, but I think I might be running out of time. I hurry over to the camouflage station where some of the other tributes, undoubtedly the morphlings, have made a colossal mess, but I find a partial container of blood-red berry juice that will serve my needs. The flesh-colored fabric of the dummy's skin makes a good absorbent canvas, and I carefully finger paint the words onto its bloody body, concealing them from view, and then I step away quickly to watch the reaction on the game makers' faces when they read the name on the dummy. Seneca Crane. I forgot she did that. For anyone who doesn't remember, Seneca Crane was the last head game maker that got Yikes. Yikesies. Okay, mommy needs a sip of coffee because she's got a froggy in her throat. Yikes. No good, Katniss. No good. Hi. You want to stay asleep or you want to get up? You've been asleep for an hour. Still haven't spit it out. Very funny. Very funny. Do you want to stay asleep or do you want to get up? You want to stay asleep. Okay, that's fine. You can stay asleep. And just spit out that frog. Yes. All right, here we go. Chapter 17. The effect on the game makers is immediate and satisfying. Several let out small shrieks, others lose their grip on their wine glasses and they shatter musically against the ground. 2 seem to be considering fainting. The look of shock is unanimous. And now I have Plutarch Heavenby's attention. He stares steadily at me as the juice from a peach that he's crushed in his hand falls through his fingers. Finally, he clears his throat and he says, "You may go now, Miss Everdeen." I give a respectable nod and I turn to go, but at the last moment I can't resist tossing the container of berry juice over my shoulder. I can hear the contents splatter against the dummy while a couple more wine glasses break and the elevator doors close before me, and I see that no one has moved. That surprised them. I think it was rash and dangerous, and no doubt I'll pay for it 10 times over, but for the moment I feel something close to elation and I let myself savor that. I want to find Hamish immediately and tell him about my session, but no one's around. I guess they're getting ready for dinner, and I decide to go and take a shower myself since my hands are stained from the juice. And as I stand in the water, I begin to wonder the wisdom of my latest trick. The question that should always be my guide is, will this help PETA stay alive? Yes, Anya, I put that in there to be funny. Indirectly, this might not help Peta stay alive. What happens in training is highly secretive, so there's no point in taking action against me when no one will know what my transgression was. In fact, last year I was rewarded for my brashness. This is a different sort of crime, though. If the game makers are angry with me and decide to punish me in the arena, Peta could get caught up in the attack as well. Maybe it was too impulsive. Still, I can't say that I'm sorry I did it. And as we all gather for dinner, I notice that Peta's hands are also faintly stained with a variety of colors, even though his hair is still damp from bathing. He must have done some sort of camouflage after all, and once the soup is served, Hamish gets right to the issue on everyone's mind. All right, so how did your private sessions go? And I exchange a look with Peta. Somehow, I'm not that eager to put what I did into words, and in the calm of the dining room, it seems very extreme. You first, I say to him. It must have been really special. I had to wait 45 minutes to go in. Peta seems to be struck with the same reluctance that I'm experiencing. Well, I did the camouflage thing, just like you suggested, Katniss. He hesitates. Not exactly camouflage. I mean, I used the dyes. To do what? Asks Portia. And I think of how ruffled the game makers were when I entered the gym for the session. The smell of cleaners, the mat pulled over a spot in the center of the gym. Was it to conceal something that they were unable to wash away? You painted something, didn't you? A picture. Did you see it? Peta asks. No, but they made a real point of cleaning it up, I say. Well, that would be standard. They can't let one tribute know... Sorry. Well, that would be standard. They can't let one tribute know what another one did, Effie says, unconcerned. What did you paint, Peta? She looks a little misty. Was it a picture of Katniss? Why would he paint a picture of me, Effie? I ask, somewhat annoyed. To show he's going to do everything he can to defend you. That's what everyone in the Capitol's expecting anyway. Didn't he volunteer to go with you? Effie says, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. Actually, I painted a picture of Rue, Peta says, how she looked after Katniss covered her in her flowers. There's a long pause at the table while everyone absorbs this. And what exactly were you trying to accomplish with that? Hamish asks in a very measured voice. I'm not sure. I wanted to hold them accountable, if only for a moment even, says Peta, for killing that little girl. Oh, this is dreadful. Effie sounds like she's about to cry. That sort of thing. It's forbidden, Peta. Absolutely. You'll only bring more trouble on yourself and on Katniss. I have to agree with Effie on this one, says Hamish. Portia and Cinna remain silent, but their faces are very serious. Of course, they're right. But even though it worries me, I think what he did was amazing. Well, I guess it's a bad time to mention that I hung a dummy and I painted Seneca Crane's name on it, I say, and this has the desired effect. After a moment of disbelief, all the disapproval in the room hits me like a ton of bricks. You hung Seneca Crane, says Cinna. Yeah, I was showing off my new knot tying skills and he somehow ended up at the end of a noose, I say. Oh, Katniss, says Effie in a hushed voice. How do you even know about that? Is it a secret? President Snow didn't act like it was a secret. No. In fact, he seemed really eager for me to know. The odds hurt. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, right, Brittany. In fact, he seemed eager for me to know about it, I say. Effie leaves the table with her napkin pressed to her face. Oh, now I've upset Effie. I guess I should have lied and said that I just shot some arrows. You'd have thought we planned it, says Peta, giving me a little hint of a smile. Didn't you? Says Portia, her fingers pressed against her eyelids, closing them as if she's warding off a very bright light. No, I say, looking at Peta with a new sense of appreciation. Neither of us even knew what we were going to do before we went in. And Hamish, says Peta, we decided we don't want any other allies in the arena. All right, good, then I won't be responsible for you killing off any of my friends with your stupidity, he says. And that's just what we were thinking, I tell him. We finish the meal in silence, but when we rise to go into the sitting room, Cinna puts his arm around me and gives me a squeeze. Come on, let's go talk about those training scores. We gather around the television and the television set, and a red-eyed Effie joins us. The tributes' faces come up district by district, and their scores flash under their picture, 1 through 12. Predictable high scores for Cashmere, Gloss, Brutus, and Abaria and Finnick, low to medium for the rest. Have they ever given a 0? I ask. No, but there's a first time for everything, Cinna answers. And it turns out he's right, because when Peta and I each pull a 12, we make Hunger Games history. No one feels like celebrating, though. Why did they do that? I ask. So that the others will have no choice but to target you, says Hamish flatly. Go to bed. I can't even stand to look at either one of you. Peter walks me down to my room in silence, but before he can say goodnight, I wrap my arms around him and rest my head against his chest. His hand slides up my back and his cheek leans against my hair. I'm sorry if I made things worse, I say. No worse than I did. Why'd you do it anyway? He says. I don't know. I guess to show them that I'm more than just a piece in their games, I say. And he laughs a little, no doubt remembering the night before the games last year. We were on the roof with neither of us able to sleep, and Peter had said something of that sort, but I hadn't understood what he meant back then. Now I do. Yeah, me too, he tells me. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to try, to get you to go home, I mean, but if I'm perfectly honest about it. If you're perfectly honest about it, you think that President Snow has probably given them direct orders to make sure that we both die in the arena anyway, I say. Yeah, that's crossed my mind, says Peter. It crossed my mind too, repeatedly, but when I know I'll never leave that arena alive, I'm still holding on to the hope that Peter will. After all, he didn't pull out those berries, I did. No one has ever doubted that Peter's defiance was motivated by love, so maybe President Snow will prefer keeping him alive, crushed and heartbroken and living to warn the others. But even if that happens, everyone will know that we've gone out fighting, right? Peter asks. Yeah, everyone will, I reply, and for the first time I distance myself from the personal tragedy that has consumed me since they announced the quell. I remember the old man that they shot in District 11, and Bonnie and Twill, and the rumored uprisings. Yes, everyone in the districts will watch me closely to see how I handle this death sentence, this final act of President Snow's dominance. They'll be looking for some sign that their battles have not been in vain, and if I can make it clear that I'm still defying the Capitol right up to the end, the Capitol will have killed me, but not my spirit. What better way to give hope to the rebels? The beauty of this idea is that my decision to keep Peter alive at the expense of my own life is, in and of itself, an act of defiance, a refusal to play the Hunger Games by the Capitol's rules. My private agenda dovetails completely with my public one, and if I could really save Peter, in terms of a revolution, this would be ideal, because I will be more valuable dead. They can turn me into some sort of martyr for the cause and paint my face on banners, and it will do more to rally people than anything I could do if I was living. But Peter would be more valuable alive, tragic, because he'll be able to turn his pain into words to transform people. Peter would lose it if he knew that I was thinking any of this, so I just say, so what do I want to do with our last few days? I just want to spend every minute possible the rest of my life with you, Peter replies. All right, come on then, I say, pulling him into my room, and it feels like such a luxury, sleeping with Peter again. I didn't realize how starved I had been for human closeness, for the feeling of him beside me in the darkness that I wish I hadn't wasted it the last couple of nights shutting him out. I sink down into sleep, enveloping up in his warmth, and when I open my eyes again, daylight streams through the windows. No nightmares, he says. No nightmares, I confirm. You? None. I'd forgotten what a real night's sleep feels like, he says. And we lie there for a while, in no rush to begin the day. Tomorrow night will be the televised interview, so today, Hamish and Effie should be coaching us. More high heels and sarcastic comments, I think, but then the red-headed Avox girl comes in with a note from Effie saying that given our recent tour, both she and Hamish have agreed that we can handle ourselves adequately in public, and coaching sessions have been canceled. Really? Says Peter, taking the note from my hand and examining it. Do you know what this means? It means we have the whole day to ourselves. Too bad we can't go somewhere, I say wistfully. Who says we can't go somewhere? He asks. The roof then. We order a bunch of food and grab some blankets, and we head to the roof for a picnic. A day-long picnic in the flower garden that tinkles with wind chimes. We eat, we lie in the sun. I snap off hanging vines and use my newfound knowledge from training practice on knots and weaves to make a net, and Peter sketches me, and we make up a game with a force field around the roof. One of us throws an apple into it, and the other person catches it. Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong? I wish I could No one bothers us, and by late afternoon I lay my head in Peter's lap, making a crown of flowers while he fiddles with my hair. What? What? You want out? You want out? Yeah. Yeah, you want... Okay, we can come out. You can come out now. That's okay. You want out? You can be out. There you go. You can be out. You can be out. Yeah. You're out. You're out. You're out. Yeah. Sleep off your last few minutes. It's only been an hour. You can sleep more. Yeah, you can sleep more. Yeah. Okay. I know. No one bothers us, and by late afternoon I lay my head in Peeta's lap, making a crown of flowers while he fiddles with my hair, claiming he's practicing his knots, and after a while his hands go still. Whoa. What is this? What? I've never seen this before. Which of this object has 4 legs? I guess a chair. What? Which of these objects is orange and round? A basketball. Okay. Wow, that was new. Usually they just ask you to slide a thing over, but it made me like choose tiny little pictures that I could barely see. What? I ask. I wish I could freeze this moment right here, right now, and live in it forever, he says. Usually this sort of comment, the kind of thing that hints at his undying love for me, leaves me feeling guilty and awful, but I feel so warm and relaxed, and beyond worrying about the future I'll never have, I just let the words slip out. Okay. I can hear the smile in his voice. I guess I am looking more robotic today. Then you'll allow it, he says. I'll allow it, I say, and his fingers go back to my hair and I doze off, but then he rouses me to see the sunset. It's a spectacular yellow and orange blaze behind the skyline of the Capitol. I didn't think you'd want to miss this, he says. Thanks, I say, because I can count on my fingers the number of sunsets that I have left, and I don't want to miss any of them. We don't go and join the others for dinner. No one summons us. I'm glad. I'm tired of making everyone around me so miserable, says Peeta. Everyone's crying, or Hamish, he doesn't need to go on. Hamish, he doesn't need to go on. I know what he's thinking. We stay on the roof until bedtime, and then quietly slip down to my room without encountering anyone. The next morning, we're roused by my prep team. The sight of Peeta and me sleeping together is too much for Octavia, and she bursts into tears right away. You remember what Cinna told us, says Venia fiercely, and Octavia nods and goes out sobbing. Peeta has to return to his room for prep, and I'm left alone with Venia and Flavius. The usual chatter has been suspended. In fact, there's little talk at all, other than to have me raise my chin or comment on the makeup technique. It's nearly lunch when I feel something dripping onto my shoulder, and I find that Flavius, who's snipping away at my hair with silent tears running down his face. Venia gives him a look, and he gently sets the scissors on the table and then leaves. It did, Avery? That's weird. I've never heard of that before. And then it's just Venia, whose skin is so pale that her tattoos appear to be leaping off of it. Almost rigid with determination, she does my hair and my makeup and my nails, fingers flying swiftly to compensate for her absent team members. The whole time she avoids my gaze, and it's only when Cinna shows up to approve me and dismiss her that she takes my hand and looks straight into my eye and says, "We would all like you to know what a privilege it's been to make you look your best," she says, and then she hastens from the room. My prep team, my foolish, shallow, affectionate little pets, with their obsessions with feathers and parties, they nearly break my heart with their goodbye. It's certain from Venia's last words that we all know I won't be returning. Does the whole world know that, I wonder? And I look at Cinna. He knows, certainly, but as promised, there's no danger of tears from him. All right, so what am I wearing tonight? I ask, eyeing the garment bag that holds my dress. President Snow put in the dress order himself, says Cinna, and he unzips the bag, revealing one of my wedding dresses that I wore for the photo shoot. Heavy white silk with a low neckline and a tight waist and sleeves that fall from my wrist to the floor, and pearls everywhere, pearls stitched into the dress and high ropes around my neck forming the crown for the veil. Even though they announced the quarter quell the night of the photo shoot, people still vote. Even though they announced... I'm sorry, you guys. Let me try that again. Even though they announced the quarter quell the night of the photo shoot, people still voted for their favorite dress, and this was the winner. President Snow says that you're to wear it tonight. Our objections were ignored. I rub a little bit of silk between my fingers, trying to figure out President Snow's reasoning. I suppose that since I was the greatest offender, my pain and loss and humiliation should be the brightest spotlight. This, he thinks, will make it clear. It's so barbaric. The president turning my bridal gown into my shroud. That blow strikes home, leaving me with a dull ache inside. Well, I guess it would be a shame to waste such a pretty dress, is all I say. Cinna helps me carefully into my gown as it settles on my shoulders. They can't help but give a shrug of complaint. Was it always this heavy? I ask, and I remember several of the dresses being dense, but this one feels like it weighs a ton. I had to make some slight alterations because of the lighting, says Cinna. I nod, but I can't see what that has to do with anything. He decks me out in shoes and the pearl jewelry and the veil, touches up my makeup, and he has me walk. You are ravishing, he says. And now, Katniss, because this bodice is so fitted, I don't want you raising your arms above your head. Well, not until you twirl, anyway. Will I be twirling again? I ask, thinking of my dress last year. I'm sure that Caesar will ask you to twirl, and if he doesn't, you should suggest it yourself. Only not right away. Save it for your big finale, Cinna instructs. You give me a signal so I know when? I say. All right, any plans for your interview? I know Hamish left you to your own devices, he says. No, this year I'm just winging it. The funny thing is I'm not nervous at all, and I'm not. However much President Snow might hate me, the Capitol audience is all mine. And we meet up with Effie and Hamish and Portia and Peeta at the elevator, and Peeta is in an elegant tuxedo and white gloves, the sort of things that grooms wear to get married in, here in the Capitol. Back home, everything is so much simpler. A woman usually rents a white dress that's been worn hundreds of times, and the man wears something clean that's not mining clothes, and they fill out some forms at the Justice Building, and they're assigned a house. Family and friends gather for a meal or maybe a bit of cake if it can be afforded, and even if it can't, there's always a traditional song that we sing to the new couples as they cross the threshold of their home. And we have our own little ceremony where they make their first fire, and they toast a bit of bread, and they share it. Maybe it's old-fashioned, but no one really feels married in District 12 until after the toasting. The other tributes have already gathered off stage and are talking softly when Peeta and I arrive, and they fall silent. I realize everyone's staring daggers at my wedding dress. Are they jealous of its beauty, the power that it might have to manipulate the crowd? And finally Finnick says, I can't believe that Cinna actually put you in that thing. He didn't have any choice. President Snow made him, I say somewhat defensively. I won't let anyone criticize Cinna. Cashmere tosses her flowing blonde curls back and spits out, well, you look ridiculous. She grabs her brother's hand and pulls him into the place leading our procession onto the stage. The other tributes begin to line up as well, and I'm confused, because while they're all angry, some are giving us sympathetic pats on the shoulder, and Joanna Mason actually stops to straighten the pearl necklace I'm wearing. Make him pay for it, okay? She says, and I nod, but I don't know what she means. Not until we're all sitting on stage, and Caesar Flickerman, hair and face highlighted in lavender this year, has done his opening spiel, and the tributes begin their interviews. This is the first time I realized the depth of the betrayal felt among the victors and the rage that accompanies it, but they're so smart, so wonderfully smart about how they play it, because it all comes back to reflect on the government and President Snow in particular. Not everyone. There are the old throwbacks like Brutus and Anabaria who are here just for the games, and those too baffled or drugged or lost to join in on the attack, but there are enough victors who will still have their wits about them and the nerve to come out fighting. Cashmere starts the ball rolling with a speech about how she can't stop crying when she thinks about how the people in the Capitol must be suffering because they will lose us. Gloss recalls the kindness shown here to him and his sister. Beatty questions the legality of the quell in his nervous, twitchy, wonderful way, wondering if it's been fully examined by the experts of late. Finnick recites a poem that he wrote to his one true love in the Capitol, and about 100 people faint because they are all sure that he means them. And by the time Joanna Mason gets up, she's asking if something can't be done about the situation. Surely the creators of the Quarter Quell never anticipated such a love forming between the victors and the Capitol. No one could be so cruel as to sever such a deep bond. And Cedar quietly ruminates about how back in District 11, everyone assumes President Snow is all-powerful. So if he's all-powerful, why doesn't he change the Quell? And Chafe, who comes right on her heels, insists that President could change the Quell if he wanted to, but he must not think that they matter that much to anyone. By the time I'm introduced, the audience is an absolute wreck. People have been weeping and collapsing and calling for change, and the sight of me in my white silk bridal gown practically causes a riot. No more me, no more star-crossed lovers living happily ever after, no more wedding. I can see even Caesar's professionalism is showing some cracks as he tries to quiet them so that I can speak, but my 3 minutes are ticking away. Finally, there's a lull, and he gets out, So, Katniss, obviously this is a very emotional night for everyone. Is there anything that you would like to say? My voice trembles as I speak. Only that I'm so sorry I won't get to be at my wedding, but I'm glad that you all at least get to see me in my dress. Isn't it just the most beautiful thing? I don't have time to look at Cinna for a signal. I know this is the right time, so I begin to twirl slowly, raising my sleeves of the heavy gown above my head. And then I hear the screams of the crowd, and I think it must be because I look stunning. But then I notice that something is rising up around me. Smoke from fire. Not the flickering stuff I wore last year in the chariot, but something much more real. It devours my dress. I begin to panic as the smoke thickens. Charred bits of black silk swirl into the air and pearls clatter to the stage. Somehow I'm afraid to stop because my flesh doesn't seem to be burning, and I know that Cinna must be behind whatever is happening. And so I keep spinning and spinning, and for a split second I'm gasping, completely engulfed by the strange flames, and then all at once the fire's gone. And I slowly come to a stop, wondering if I'm naked and why Cinna has arranged to burn away my wedding dress. But no, I'm not naked. I'm in a dress of the exact same design of my wedding dress, only it's the color of coal, and it's made of tiny feathers. Wonderingly, I lift my long, flowing sleeves into the air, and that's when I see myself on the television screen. I'm clothed in black, except for the white patches on my sleeves, or should I say, my wings, because Cinna has turned me into a mockingjay. Oh, damn, that scene is good. Oh, damn, that scene is good. That is written with the expert hand of a literal genius. I mean, that is good. That is, I mean, chills, absolute chills up and down my arms. Like, whoo. You guys, that is, I mean, like, that is an expertly crafted chapter. Am I right? Like, Suzanne Collins, give the woman a round of applause, you know? Like, that is just, them's the goods right there. Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. All right, well, let's see tomorrow how angry President Snow is when he sees that she is a Mockingjay. I'm sorry to read and run, but I do have a meeting coming up, so I just go, the appropriateness, thank you, I appreciate the A+, Anya. I'm gonna go get ready for my meeting, but I will hopefully see you all later. I've never read the books or watched the movies, but this has been good. It's so good, Jamie, it's so good. I will see you all tomorrow. I'm glad we got through 2 chapters, and yes, no, we're never excited for President Snow's anger, but we are excited to see what she does about it. All right, bye guys.